Hi guys, my name is Borodante and welcome to Possessed Basketball. That's right, I decided to go ahead and resurrect this super old series on this channel. Many of you guys don't know that, but I've had a lot of possessed object paintings on this channel. It was like a thing. And yeah, today's episode actually was born from the idea that I wanted to paint something, start to finish, and as good as possible. And for that, it needs to be like something very simple, like a basketball. With whatever angry face will come up with it. That's pretty much the idea I'm having. Nothing specific. I was thinking that it may be sort of refreshing and maybe very useful to see me paint something really simple very well, like with a high attention to the detail, so you guys would be able to follow that to some extent, you know? When it's a simpler object, it's easier to paint the same or close to it. Maybe someone would paint a possessed football, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'll go ahead and start with that right after this quick word from this channel's sponsor, Wingfox, and their awesome ongoing tutorial about Cyberpunk Art. Right now, the lecturer Park Jung-kyu is covering all the necessary steps to get a charming female face and hair. He also already covered the basics about selecting and developing the outfit for the character, making sure that it feels and looks the way the real outfit would. This is the kind of stuff I'm really interested in. Especially I like that the professional artist is talking about the logics behind the anime style and what kind of thought process leads to this kind of art style, which is so much better than just, you know, learning how to draw anime by watching anime. This stuff is really satisfying and useful. And overall, I find this course very exciting because it's aimed at the beginners, so everyone can join in and get really decent results and habits for getting much better in this direction. So if you guys are interested, check out the link in the description. The course is available with a big discount before it's fully released at $69, plus an extra discount code is also available in the video description. Now let's get back to our basketball. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna start with thumbnails. I have learned with Black Widow that that's the best way to start a painting, so let's go ahead and do just that. There's no way to quickly draw perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal lines in Krita. That sucks. I guess I'm gonna use the line tool. Oh, it's not a tool, it's a line mode for the brush. So it's literally the same brush. That's good. That's good. So yeah, the search won't be exactly intense since I do really just need a ball. But I'll search the design of the face a little bit, because that will be one thing truly to search here. Obviously, I'm gonna be taking advantage of like these angry lines that the ball has. So I'm gonna be like building the face from inside of those. So something like that. I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of really old artwork like that all over the internet, but I don't care. I just want to create my own. Maybe I'll apply somewhat of a new wave horror design to it that would make it stand out from the rest. Alright, just simply trying to solve this whole idea. So the lines of the ball are going here and there, and I'm pretty much just drawing the face in between them. Now, I kind of think there should be a bit of a different approach here. What I did here was pretty much I used these lines and made them sort of look like they're like this, because these are the eyebrows that are smashed downwards in the aggressive expression, and in here as well as the chin that goes up. While generally the position of these lines is the way they are by default. I'm not sure, like, this is the most recognizable way of doing it, but it sort of doesn't make the ball possessed really. It makes it like all the basketballs are like that. Like they're all angry and this one just shows it. I mean, in an alternative design, I would make this line go much lower, so it's angrier than the other balls. That's what's going on in my head right now. Okay, let's start another one. I wanna tilt the ball, obviously. It needs to be like, we need to see more of the forehead than the chin. While this is also an interesting version, it has a character to it of itself, but I want to see something more messed up, maybe? I feel like making him a little bit horizontal is a good idea in general. I don't know why it feels like a proper dynamics for an angry ball. Kinda looks cool. So that line of the tilt of the head should be a bit like this, but also it's not like the ball should be just looking there. What if a bit more towards us? So the center is kind of like there. Actually, there's a legit line that's supposed to go there. And now about those angrier than usual lines. Yeah, this way we get a much more interesting dynamics with the wrinkles as well. They can really get squished in there between the middle line and this angry top line. I'm not even sure if I need actual eyeballs. How about just the angry eyebrows and just a mouth of sorts? Yeah, I should really think on the mouth, actually. It will be the main action on the ball. So this line in the middle, it's really like, you don't want to distort it too much. It needs to stay an actual line. I wonder if it would look cool if I would make it like it's some sort of a like stitches, or not stitches, like a scar that is stretching or contracting the skin at that place, and that's literally the top lip of the mouth at the same time. So it may look really messed up that way. Oh yeah, I'm seeing some cool dynamics forming up. Yeah, that's exactly where I feel like I'll have a lot of fun, in these areas, like really thinking through what kind of flashy elements to introduce when I merge the mouth with the proprietary features of the ball. So yeah, I'm not a huge sports guy, but I gotta say, of all the types of sports, I think I hate basketball the least. It's just at least really cool. Now, I don't want to go with just a lot of teeth and that's it. I want to almost go the opposite way. You know, it's sort of childish to draw like big teeth like that. I don't know the last time it was actually scary, like it's lame to draw that. So you really need to draw the gums, the structure of the jaws, and really even the most dangerous predators in the world, like all kinds of, like even sharks. Their teeth are like relatively small. Well, I mean, they're big when you hold them in your hand, but they're small comparing to a default monster tooth you would think about, comparing to the size of the head. So I want to think about it when I do this. So first, I'm gonna like imagine if the jaw is in there, it's like inside, so this distance is bigger, sort of, and in here it's like going there, like the cylinder of the upper gums, it's a bit inside, so we're seeing this extra space of the cheek from the inside. And yeah, the bottom one can be in here, and I may even wanna like play with too big of a gums and really tiny teeth or something. I don't know. We'll see. Not sure if it's gonna look expressive enough, but if it will look really creepy in a way. So again, thinking about the volume, so it's a step inwards of the ball, so the middle line is going from here to here, and that's gonna be the same for the bottom jaw. Yeah, shouldn't just draw a perfect line of uniform teeth, that's really dumb. I think these gums should sort of end earlier and maybe curve inwards a bit more, because they feel like they don't really mean anything when they're like that. If you just stretch the gums as much as the cheeks are in here with a super strong rim that we have here, if the gums will just continue and the teeth will just continue happening there, it sort of defeats the purpose of this super strong rim. It doesn't look like it's strong. It looks like, well, that's just the really long mouth, I guess. But if you can see that the gums are ending much earlier and we still see the opening in the mouth, that's a really widely open mouth, and that's an expression. I think in here there should be a little bit of the shape of the cheek showing through. Since there's this strong evil expression and we have these like wrinkles going on, they should be noticeable in here as well. Now, in many cases here, I'm just drawing these lines that sort of mean the shape, but I don't fully connect everything together. Like these wrinkles right here, they're going kind of like that, so I want to make a hint on if there's like almost an eye in there, but it's just hidden between the masses, squished in so much. That's why we don't see the eye. But actually there is no eye, but it should kind of look like that. And in here is just these sort of stitches, or just when there's like a duct tape on a skin and then it's stretching in certain space, there are like wrinkles from that line of the duct tape. That kind of look. But all of it together feels like it should sort of connect into these whatever bigger wrinkles between them. I don't think I like that idea, so I don't really do it. I'll solve those more specific shape details, like truly three-dimensional shape, later when I'll be just painting it. So actually, let's go ahead and switch to painting. So I'm thinking on the lighting is gonna be somewhat basic, cool looking rendering, where one of the lights will be, well, usually it would go from this direction, sort of, a bit from us top left in this case, so from where the face is looking at, and another one would be from over there, hitting from the back to get a nice room lighting. And in the middle we'll get like a cool dark line in here that will show all the three-dimensional things we want to show. So I'll be doing almost the same thing, except this light would be a bit more from the top. This way we'll have a really bright spot in here, but as it will go to the face, and here we'll see a lot of these projected shadows, and generally as we go lower and lower, it gets darker and darker. So I don't want to just show it all just in plain sight. That's never a good idea for horror. We're kind of hiding the most disturbing part of the face and the shadow a bit. And also there will be a play with the silhouette, because I'm definitely going with some drooling here as well. Perfectly using the empty space from the bottom, because I wanted to show the face really close to the center of the picture. That way we have some space at the bottom, and that's where drooling will be. Perfect. Still using the technique I sort of looked up from Ruanja's. And by the way, not Ruanja exclusively or anything. So many of you guys said that in all kinds of artwork and different artists, you notice the same kind of approach where you draw with like scratching in one place instead of going with like big brush strokes and trying to just chop your shapes back and forth. It's like not really the full aspect of the brushwork. It's just a little habit inside of your brushwork. It's not that big of a deal, but it does change the way you think a lot, so it is a big deal. It's really cool. Adam Duff said that he saw this kind of the look that appears to hint at this type of habit in the brushwork in the Dark Souls concept art, so that was interesting. Also, I noticed pretty much all of my favorite Chinese artists use this kind of approach. I looked at the process by Wei Feng, which is like the next best artist for me from like the same school, and he's doing it the same way as well. And I guess a lot of professional artists have this just habit. I wouldn't say it's anything specific, but I think it's an important habit that sort of dictates a more precise, careful, more detailed approach towards your artwork. So yeah, I'm really happy I'm practicing it now, because I was so strongly not there. I was so not doing this forever. It was really weird. So anyway, I guess this is the colors I chose. I just filled up the basic colors of the whole thing. I guess the color of the ball, like the actual basketball color, is close to real. I also wanna right away decide on the background color, like the color of the environment, because I don't think I wanna have it like in the white void. Maybe, but I don't know. It feels like it should be dimmed with strong aerial perspective, or like mist even, or like fog. I don't know what that would be. Yeah, there we go. This way we'll have a darker spot in here for the nice rim light contrast, and in here the bottom part will get darker while the background will get a bit brighter, so we'll get a different contrast at the bottom. I hope I'll be able to make the contrast strong enough. I'm not sure what exactly I want from it, so let's go ahead and search for that. The brightest spot on the surface of the ball is supposed to be like in here, I guess. This is the direction, but that direction would hit perfectly at 90 degrees somewhere around here. But this big soft spot, that's the highlight, so more of a pale, desaturated, bright spot. The highlight should be shifted in this case because we're looking from the 90 degrees, like the horizon is probably there, and the light is from the top, so this is the place where the ray would go from our eyes and shoot exactly at the light source at like an even angle from here and here. That's what the reflection is for the highlight in this sense. That's why it's lower, because that's the way the geometry would work out here. A little bit. They usually fall in a very close proximity from each other, the highlight and the brightest spot on the object, but not necessarily, and in this case it's a good idea to show that difference. And yeah, shouldn't forget that behind there, since the light source is a little bit from the front, it's important to show that closer to the very horizon of the ball, like the very edge of it in there, it should show that it's getting a bit darker already. That way it feels a lot more three-dimensional and real. Since we are showing the light from the front, it should get dimmer from the back, at least a little bit, even over there. So that's what I'm doing. Now let's add that part in there, and what's interesting about this strong angle of a rim light, usually I'm just immediately grabbing this highlight color and maybe even desaturate it even more a little bit. And just paint with that right away, because at this strong of an angle, we will barely see any real lighting on the surface, and it will be just pure reflection, because Fresnel effect. This is a perfect situation for Fresnel. In this case, at a strong angle, the surface is much more reflective than anything else, so that's mostly what we're gonna see there. Adding a stronger shadow in here, but I'm thinking it may be like a good base for introducing a little bit of the reflected light from the bottom. Really soft, really dim, maybe like really saturated. Although everything is saturated, why would it be more saturated? Unless there's literally a pile of the same colored balls at the bottom, then it would be more saturated. Reflected light in here would be actually orange, but in this case it would be like almost the same color, just really dim, and it will be showing exactly the direction from the bottom. So I'll mark it like this a little bit, and yeah, I'm gonna go with even stronger shadow over here, so we would have a good pretty contrast for the reflected light. Yeah, I think just like that. And really just a hint, some anatomy parts, like some of these masses in the tense chin, maybe on some wrinkles, but I'll decide on what exactly catches more light later with details. So far I'm just solving the overall bigger lighting. Going really saturated in these areas for the most part, because in here the shadow and the reflected light will happen between like this surface and this surface of wrinkles, and so it will be like the shaded part, but then there will be a lot of reflected light from this bottom cheek that is right there. It's really close, so its influence will be very much noticeable. So that reflected light will be the equivalent of having a pile of orange balls at the bottom, but it only will happen in these small local wrinkles where all the surfaces are orange, so the reflected light bouncing inside of that will be more saturated than the rest of the lighting. that was a lot of fun, showing these details right here and drawing them with a smaller brush than the line actually needs. So I was able to immediately show these perspective thinnings. Like at this angle, the line should be a lot thinner, and that was easier for me to do. And generally the shape of the lines looks a lot more purposeful, I guess, or intentional when it's drawn with a bit of a smaller brush, looking really cool. Not going too crazy with it. Don't like draw with a 1 pixel line or anything. It's not about that. So yeah, I'm generally, what I'm doing right now is making lines a bit thicker, because my reference seems to have these lines a bit thicker, and I think I just want them to be thicker, maybe slightly thicker than the normal ball would have, just to have them a bit more noticeable and stand out from all the aggressive wrinkles all over the place. Now let's also add a little bit of the highlight inside of that black line, because it's also pretty reflective there, kind of like this color. So I'm making the highlight a bit like on the right side in this case, because I'm like indenting it, sort of, because these lines, they're actually concave. Right now the ball looks more like he's really pissing himself laughing at something. Let's fix that. Oh yeah, setting in some really high contrast shadows starts to look legit. Introducing real volume, kind of the same feeling you get when you're doing a sculpt in 3D, like in ZBrush or in Blender, with little geometry details, just scratching the surface, introducing some kind of wrinkles, little things, but then you'll introduce like a big concave shape, sort of like a hole for a mouth, or really set those nostrils deep inside so they wouldn't look like they're just little dents and that's it, like they're real shape that really goes inside where it needs to. That immediately makes the whole thing look more real. Kind of the same thing with the painting. Some nice flashy details showing through already. That'll be interesting to search. Yeah, I think at this point I literally don't need the sketch anymore. I transferred everything from it and I have to move on. Right, the line, the horizontal line, it's gonna be like the top lip. Should it be like literally black, I guess? I don't think it'll hurt anyone. And it should continue over there. So I forgot about this detail. Let's add that. That would be so dumb to forget. Also the bottom line, the bottom angry line in here. Kind of giving a bit of a hint on the texture of the ball. In this particular place, it's like you can't go without it. It would be such a missed opportunity. This #1 place that will expose a lot of these little bumps on the surface of the ball. Oh yeah, that's some cool tension going on. So I really thought through, like in a sketch it was just non-directional, like bulge, like some kind of sausage. Instead, I thought about this whole idea of the skin stretched next to the duct tape. So I needed the direction at which it would be doing that. So since the ball is like really cramping his skin closer to the center with this aggressive face, it makes sense that the stuff is like the eyes are stretching the skin over there, while the mouth was stretching things over there. So it's getting this kind of motion. And in here it's ending because that's where this fold is happening, right? So this part is stretching sort of like here, but it's already all over the place, so there's no real sense in introducing that. Instead, it needs to be like a good, well-defined, perfect like cylinder, really squished. There's a lot of surface in here since we pushed this line so much closer to this one. There's a lot of extra material in there that will be squishing out. So I'm doing that. And while I'm adding all these tiny details that bring more sense to the geometry of our really strong expression, that brings this expression much closer to life, thanks to all of these little logical details. Alright, this is it. Or done, the way I used to say. Yeah, I guess that will be it. Maybe I would add a little bit of that fog on the background that I was talking about before. But aside from that, things are looking pretty cool. Still in a stage of like a speed painting, especially in the teeth area. But it is like the darker part of the image, so I think it's kind of forgivable. But yeah, there are some things that are worth thinking about. And of course, a lot more work with texture on the surface could be done, adding a lot more tiny bumps and maybe even shadows from them a little bit. That is, if we would want to go with legit, super high quality render. But from this point, it would be just a whole lot more of the same. So yeah, tell me guys what you think. I encourage you to paint this type of a small thing to draw well. I do this very rarely, and this is incredibly satisfying, and actually, you know, if you never do it, it may let you learn a thing or two. So that was really cool. Applying this new brushwork trick was really interesting, especially I like the fact that I was using a smaller brush. I could easily like shade individual bumps over each tooth in the gums and each tooth as well. So that's something I was shading really quickly, yet it looks rather cool, and well, when you zoom out, it's looking like a real deal. So yeah, this is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. See you guys in the comments and also in the next video. Bye! Oh no, I'm trapped. I'm trapped in detailing. Send help.